The Atlantic Ocean stretches across the world like a vast, silent giant, dark, powerful, and filled with secrets older than human civilization itself. Sailors have whispered about it for centuries. Explorers have vanished inside it. Entire machines, aircraft, and ships have been swallowed by the depths without a single trace. But the mystery was never fully understood, until the day a new underwater expedition began. It started with a research vessel named the Horizon Star, a ship built not for tourists or fishing, but for deep ocean exploration. On board were scientists, engineers, divers, and oceanographers who had spent years studying unusual sonar readings coming from a remote part of the Atlantic Sea. These signals were strange. Shapes that looked like metal structures, long shadows stretching across the seabed, and sudden movements that did not match any known sea creature. The team leader, Dr. Elena Marlowe, stood on the deck as the morning sun rose over the waves. She was a calm, intelligent woman known for her sharp instincts and fearless curiosity. For years she had been obsessed with one idea: that something ancient and forgotten was hidden beneath the Atlantic, something the world had never seen. As the ship prepared for descent, the crew checked the equipment. Underwater drones, pressure-resistant cameras, sonar scanners, and protective suits designed to handle the crushing force of the deep. Nothing about this mission was routine. Everything felt tense, electric, full of possibility. Inside the control room, screens flickered with real-time ocean data. The sonar showed a region shaped like a wide crater, far deeper than the surrounding seabed. It wasn't natural. The edges were too smooth. The shadow inside was too symmetrical. Some believed it might be an old volcanic pit. Others thought it might be the remains of a giant shipwreck. But Dr. Elena had a different theory. She believed it might be a hidden graveyard of machines, lost aircraft, collapsed submarines, and sunken warships the world never knew existed. For decades, the area was ignored because of unpredictable currents and violent storms that made it nearly inaccessible. But today, with modern technology, the Horizon Star was ready to unlock the truth. The crew launched their first drone, named Aquila-1, into the ocean. The machine glided smoothly into the water, its lights cutting through the blue. As it descended, the sunlight faded quickly. The calm sea turned into darkness, thick and heavy, like stepping into another world entirely. At 500 meters deep, small glowing plankton drifted by like green stars floating in the night. At 1,000 meters, strange jellyfish pulsed with electric blue veins. The deeper the drone went, the more alien everything looked. No plants, no sunlight, just endless black water pressing from all sides. Surface. The cameras turned slowly across the ocean floor. At first, everything looked normal. Rocks, sand, and the shapes of small, quiet fish that lived in eternal darkness. Then the drone moved forward, and the entire crew froze. A giant metallic structure appeared on the screen. It was the unmistakable body of an aircraft, but not one the team recognized. The wings were bent, the metal covered with coral and deep-sea rust. The number markings were unreadable. It looked like it had been there for decades. Maybe longer. The crew murmured with excitement and confusion. "Is that a warplane?" one engineer whispered. Another zoomed in the camera. "It looks older, maybe from the early aviation era." But Dr. Elena shook her head slowly. "No, this design doesn't match any model ever recorded." The drone moved around the wreck, revealing more impossible details. The engine shape was unfamiliar. The metal alloy was unknown. And the wings had symbols carved into them, symbols that no one on the ship recognized. Then Aquila-1 continued forward, scanning the surrounding area. The sonar beeped loudly. More shapes appeared. Not one plane. Not two. But an entire field of aircraft, scattered across the seabed like fallen birds. Some were broken in half. Some were strangely intact. Their designs were inconsistent, from different eras and different technologies, as if they were collected and dropped here on purpose. The ship fell silent. "What happened to them?" someone whispered. "How did so many aircraft end up in one place?" Dr. Elena stared at the screen, her heartbeat quickening. "We need to map everything. Keep moving." The drone traveled further until it reached the edge of a dark trench. Inside the trench, the cameras captured something even stranger, towering metal shapes rising from the darkness. They were not planes. They were not ships. They were not natural rock formations. They looked like massive ancient structures, built with precision and geometry no human civilization could achieve thousands of years ago. One diver gasped, "Is that a building?" Another whispered, "Is it possible? This is Atlantis?" The word hung in the air like a spark. Before Dr. Elena could respond, the lights of the drone flickered. A dark, fast movement crossed the screen. Something big. Something alive. Something no one had seen before. The creature passed again, faster this time, with long fins and glowing patterns running down its body. The cameras shook violently as the drone collided with something unseen. Then, without warning, the screen went black. Aquila 1 was lost. A sudden chill filled the control room. Dr. Elena stepped forward, her voice trembling not with fear, but with determination. "Prepare the second drone. We've found something, and we're not leaving until we understand what's down there." The engines hummed. The crew scrambled. Far below the waves, a shadow moved silently through the darkness, circling the graveyard of machines, watching, waiting. And the mission had only just begun. The Atlantic Ocean has always carried an ancient weight, an invisible pressure older than any story humanity has ever written. It stretches endlessly across the earth like a sleeping titan, its surface calm and glittering, while its deepest trenches remain untouched by sunlight for millions of years. Generations of sailors crossed it with trembling hands. Some returned with stories of shimmering lights beneath the water. Others never returned at all. For centuries, everything hidden in the Atlantic remained silent, shadowed, lost, until the day one research vessel, the Horizon Star, dared to search deeper than ever before. The ship drifted across the open sea like a lone wanderer, its hull cutting through the swells as dawn slowly colored the horizon orange and gold. The air smelled salty and sharp. Seabirds circled above, their cries fading into the rhythm of the waves. On the deck, the crew prepared equipment with steady hands, though each person could feel the same quiet pressure, the weight of the unknown. At the center of the deck stood Dr. Elena Marlowe, the expedition leader. She was a woman in her 40s with calm eyes, dark hair tied back, and a mind sharpened by decades of deep-ocean research. She had studied every known trench, mapped every charted ridge, and analyzed sonar readings that most experts ignored. But one reading, not even a full picture, had kept her awake for months. A set of metallic shadows deep beneath the Atlantic. Too structured to be rocks. Too orderly to be natural. Large enough to be ships, or possibly aircraft. And around them, movement. Slow. Curious. Alive. Now, as she stood on the deck watching the sunrise, Elena felt an electric anticipation humming through her chest. Everything she had dreamed of discovering might be waiting beneath the waves. Behind her, the oceanographer Dr. Caleb Reed approached with a tablet in hand. "The currents are stable," he said, glancing at the water. "Visibility down below will be minimal, but the scanners should hold." Elena nodded. "And the trench?" Caleb hesitated, still giving off irregular readings. Depth unknown. Shape unknown. But definitely hollow. Hollow. That word alone was enough to raise the hairs on the back of Elena's neck. Inside the control room, the atmosphere buzzed with nervous focus. Screens glowed with sonar maps, current charts, temperature graphs, and pressure data. The research vessel was equipped with 2 deep-sea drones, Aquila 1 and Aquila 2, each capable of descending thousands of meters below the surface. Each equipped with high-intensity lights and reinforced titanium frames. If anything could survive the Atlantic depths, it was them. Technicians strapped cameras onto the drones, wiped down lenses, checked oxygen seals, and ran final tests. The hum of machinery filled the room as the ship prepared for the first plunge. Elena placed her hand on the metal railing and exhaled slowly. "This is it," she whispered. "We begin." Aquila 1 lowered into the water with a soft mechanical whir. The surface rippled, then closed around the drone like a hungry mouth swallowing light. On the screen, the shallow blue waters appeared calm at first, glowing gently in the sunlight. But the drone continued its descent, slipping deeper and deeper still. At 100 meters, the colors faded to green. At 200, a dim shade of smoke blue. At 500, the sunlight vanished completely. The drone's high-beam lamps came alive, slicing through the blackness like two pale swords. Tiny plankton sparkled around the light beams like floating stars. Jellyfish drifted peacefully, their bodies glowing with faint pulses of electric blue. Strange, long-limbed creatures darted between rocks, species the crew could not name, creatures that had evolved without ever seeing the sun. The deeper Aquila 1 went, the heavier the world became. The water thickened with pressure. The temperature dropped. The darkness grew thicker, almost physical, like a curtain wrapped around the drone. Inside the control room, breaths grew quieter. The crew leaned forward as the camera slowly panned across the seafloor. Sand. Sediment. Small, blind fish. Nothing unusual. Until the ground began to change. Large shapes appeared, flat, metallic shapes buried beneath layers of sand and coral. At first, they looked like simple debris. But as the drone approached, the outlines sharpened. A twisted wing. A shattered cockpit. A rusted engine coil. It was an aircraft. But not one anyone recognized. "What model is that?" a technician muttered. "None that I've ever seen," Caleb whispered. Entire decades of aviation flashed across their minds. World War aeroplanes, commercial jets, experimental crafts, but nothing matched the design on the screen. The metal bore markings similar to symbols or numbers, but time and pressure had eroded them beyond recognition. Aquila 1 moved forward, revealing more strange debris. Another plane. Then another. And another. Dozens of aircraft, scattered like fallen leaves across the ocean floor. Some shattered. Some eerily intact. Some half-buried in the sediment like fossils waiting to be uncovered. How did so many planes end up here? Elena murmured. But the answer was not waiting for them among the wreckage. It was waiting in the trench. The drone pushed forward. The shadows thickened. The screen flickered. A soft hum echoed through the drone's sensors, like a distant vibration coming from deep below. The trench opened before them like a colossal wound in the earth, stretching downward into a darkness so complete it looked bottomless. The drone's lights reached out but touched nothing. The space swallowed everything. "Descending into the trench," said the drone operator cautiously. The drone moved over the edge. Then the world shifted. Massive structures rose from the darkness, tall, angular forms that looked like pillars or towers. The metal was covered in strange, geometric patterns. The edges were perfectly carved. This was not the skeleton of a ship. Not the frame of an aircraft. Not natural rock. It looked built. Constructed. Engineered. "Is that a building?" someone breathed. "No," Elena whispered. "It's something else." Before anyone could speak further, the drone's lights caught movement. A long, slender shape glided past the camera. The body shimmered with bioluminescent patterns, spirals, stripes, glowing points. The tail moved like a ribbon in the water. The head had no eyes, only two faint ridges that pulsed with dim light. "What is that?" Caleb said, his voice thin. The creature circled the drone once. Twice. A third time. The screen shook violently. Metal screeched. The drone spun. "Something's hitting it," the operator yelled. Another slam, harder this time. Lights flickered. Cables strained. Pressure roared through the speakers like distant thunder. Then, suddenly, the screen went black. Silence. The crew stared in disbelief. Aquila 1 was gone. Elena gripped the console, her knuckles pale. Her voice trembled, but her resolve hardened. "Prepare Aquila 2. Caleb turned toward her, panic rising. "Are you sure? That thing, whatever it was, destroyed the drone." "We came here for answers," Elena said. "And we just found our first one." She looked out the window into the endless dark ocean. "There is something alive down there. Something intelligent. Something ancient." She inhaled deeply. "We go again." And as the crew prepared the second descent, the Atlantic trembled with secrets still waiting in the black. Behind her, the oceanographer Dr. Caleb Reed approached with a tablet in hand. "The currents are stable," he said, glancing at the water. "Visibility down below will be minimal, but the scanners should hold." Elena nodded. "And the trench?" Caleb hesitated, still giving off irregular readings.